170,000 years ago. Nobody on Earth owned a single piece of clothing. Not a shirt, not a wrap, not a strip of bark. Every human alive was completely bare. And then something changed. Not the weather, not a new idea about modesty, not a sudden urge to look good. A parasite changed everything. Here's the thing about lice. They're older than we are. Body lice have been feeding on humans for so long that their DNA carries a timestamp. And in 2003, a University of Florida researcher named David Reed decided to read it. Reed and his team compared the genetics of head lice and body lice. Head lice live in hair. Body lice live in clothing. They're close relatives, but they split apart at a specific moment in history. That split happened approximately 170,000 years ago, which means that's when clothing appeared. Not because archaeologists found an ancient jacket, because the parasite that needs clothing to survive suddenly had somewhere to live. Your wardrobe has a biological origin story, and it's written in bugs. But why 170,000 years ago?
What was happening on Earth that made clothing suddenly necessary?
The answer is ice. Earth was entering a brutal cold phase. Temperatures in Africa dropped dramatically. Regions that had been warm and habitable became hostile. Early humans were being pushed into smaller, colder, harsher territories, without fur, without claws, without natural insulation. We were, biologically speaking, completely unprepared, so we improvised. Animal skins, leaves, whatever could hold warmth against a body that had no way to generate enough of its own, and the lice came with us. Here's where it gets strange.
Researchers at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology ran additional lice DNA studies and confirmed a second wave of body lice migration.
Around 83,000 years ago. That's when humans began leaving Africa and spreading across the planet. They took their tools, they took their knowledge, they took their fire, and they took their lice. Which means clothing wasn't just a survival tool, it was portable shelter. It was the technology that made global migration possible. Without the ability to wrap warmth around a human body, Homo sapiens could not have crossed into colder climate.
Every human being living north of the tropics today exists because an ancestor sewed animal skin around their shoulders and kept walking.
Now here's the question nobody asks. If clothing started as pure survival, just keeping warm, when did it become something else? The answer is earlier than you'd think. Archaeological sites in Morocco dating to around 120,000 years ago
contain eagle talons and shells with deliberate holes drilled through them.
They weren't food, they were decoration. Evidence suggests early humans were wearing things that had no function except to signal something about who they were. Clothing and identity fused almost immediately, which tells us something unsettling about human nature. We don't just dress to survive, we dress to be seen. Even 120,000 years ago, standing in the cold with almost nothing, a human being looked at a shell and thought, "That should be on my body." In 2011, researchers examining ancient ochre pigments found in South Africa's Blombos Cave concluded that humans were decorating their skin with red dye as far back as 100,000 years ago. Body paint before fabric, color before clothing. The desire to alter appearance, to present a version of yourself to the world, predates the invention of the thing we use to do it every morning. You didn't inherit your sense of style from fashion magazines or social media. You inherited it from someone standing barefoot in southern Africa, pressing red clay into their skin, deciding how they wanted to be seen. Tonight, when you get dressed, you're performing a 170,000-year-old ritual, one that started not with vanity, not with modesty, not even with cold. It started with survival. It evolved into identity, and it never stopped. The clothes on your back aren't fashion. They're the reason you exist.